It is an extraordinary story, a story which left a town shaken to its core, not knowing what or who to believe. And it began with this Facebook post.
I think this is the hardest post I'm ever going to write. I didn't want to share this because I'm scared of the judgment that will come with it. People need to be looking out for young girls and protecting them.
Alongside the graphic photos, Ellie Williams claimed she was being raped, tortured and exploited at the hands of an Asian grooming gang. Pictures of Ellie Williams, her young face and body covered in scars and bruises, were like a grenade thrown into the middle of this town. Barrow was torn in two, divided between the people who believed Ellie had been a victim of an Asian grooming gang and those who felt it was an elaborate racist lie. There were protests on the street, dark conspiracies online, a community profoundly damaged, its scars yet to heal. The day after the pictures were posted, there was an arrest, but it wasn't of any alleged attackers. It was of 19-year-old Ellie herself. Police said she'd broken bail conditions, having previously been arrested for perverting the course of justice. The same day, in a highly unusual move, the police then issued this statement.
What I would say is, when a question is asked, is there an organised gang of Asian men in Barrow conducting abuse or otherwise exploitation against individuals, our investigation has shown that that has not been corroborated or otherwise evidence.
If the intention was to reassure the town, to calm its sense of shock, it resolutely and very publicly failed. The far-right activist Tommy Robinson arrives to investigate the claims of Asian gangs grooming young girls.
And then obviously this story by this Ellie girl has blew it up, and the fact that she's been remanded, there's so much to it.
In the months that follow, resentment and anger festers on all sides. Asian businesses are terrorised. A local newspaper reporter is forced to go into hiding. But the questions which have so bitterly divided the town are resolved in the most dramatic way. At court, a raft of damning evidence showing Ellie Williams has made up the whole story. Here she is on CCTV footage, calmly booking herself into a hotel in Blackpool, supposedly at the time she'd been trafficked there. Here she is buying snacks in a local shop. And here, perhaps the most extraordinary piece of evidence. Ellie buys a hammer which the jury are told she uses to inflict horrific injuries on herself. Ellie Williams was convicted of 9 charges of perverting the course of justice and today sentenced to 8.5 years in jail.
There is no explanation for why the defendant would commit these offences. She has gone to extraordinary lengths to create false accusations, including causing herself significant injury.
A brief statement from Ellie herself was read out in court. "I'm not saying I'm guilty," she said, "but I know that I have done wrong on some of this, so I'm sorry." Outside the court, the question, would that be enough for the men Ellie Williams accused of rape and exploitation?
I feel no sense of triumph, only sadness. For the loss of the years, the impact on my family, here we are, and the true impact that this will have on true victims. That's the loss here.
Mr Ramzan says he's now supporting Jordan Trengove, who spent 10 weeks in jail after Ellie accused him of rape. Both say they tried to take their own lives because of the stress. If you were able to say anything to Ellie Williams today, what would you say?
Why? I want to know why you have done this to us, and I'd love to know why, because she's not only done it to me and Mo, she's done it to our families, and there's innocent children and kids involved in our families along with that, and she's destroyed their lives as long with ours.
The impact on the town as a whole has been almost as devastating. Police say the protests were the biggest in decades. Scores of hate crimes have been reported. Simon Fell, the local Conservative MP, says even though Ellie is clearly a damaged young woman, it's right that she should pay for the damage she has done.
No one does that to themselves if they're well. If they're in a good state of mind, if they're in a happy setup around them, then they just simply don't do that. So there's something that's gone on there. She is clearly a victim of something.
In terms of the legacy Barrow has been left with after this, how would you describe that?
We've been left with a permanent far-right presence in the community. We didn't have one before. Occasionally they'd stop in and do a protest, but that was it. But now, we have regular events with Patriotic Alternative it is, who turn up, spread leaflets of hate through people's letterboxes, and it's really ugly.
For Ellie Williams' mother, it's a devastating verdict.
The court has decided she is a liar about really serious things.
Yeah, that's correct, and in the eyes of the law I've got to follow that verdict and accept that.
So as Ellie begins to pay the price for lying about exploitation the court says never happens, Alison can only sit and wait for her young daughter to come home.
But she's a happy little thing, and so I miss that. I miss that energy in the house and her being here. But she'll be back again at some point, so we just got to look forward to that time.
But as she waits, Barrow itself must rebuild, a community torn in two by the lies of one young woman.